Hello and welcome to the channel again. This is Sam trying to spin to win on Swift. Well, we're back at it again today with that blissful rest day yesterday. Already a very, very, very distant memory. Now that I think about it, Mr. FRR Race Control, can we please have another one? Well, we need to get on with it and
I'm worried that it will be hard.
yes, I do think today's stage will be very hard indeed. But first, let's have a quick look at the GC leaderboard in the CRP category after stage 6 before we have a quick look at the course we're tackling today. I am now in 30th place out of 92 riders that have completed all 6 stages so far. That means I think
Calculating data. Calculating data.
that I am now actually in the top third of the leaderboard. Really surprised, in a good way at that, and I will certainly try to hang on as best as I can. It seemed stage 6 was a really key GC day, as more than a few people incurred quite a bit of E-gap here. Not surprising really, I guess, with that nasty climb at the end. As for the top 10, still a few changes but nothing major. Elena is still queen of the hill and actually extended her lead quite a bit. I think yesterday's stage suited her down to the ground. We also still have 3 ladies in the top 10, and my teammate Kim is now nowhere to be found. Where is he? Well, that's because he got upgraded to DRA, and I wish him the best of luck in that illustrious company. Okay, let's have a quick review of the course we're doing today, the Petite Douleur, and let's reignite that love-hate relationship that I have with the Petit KOM, shall we? I will go over the course quickly here. Again, if you want more detail, please have a look at yesterday's vlog. In total, we'll do 39 kilometers with 600 meters of climbing. And after looking at some of the races already completed earlier today, it will take around an hour for the CRP GHT start pen. So, another tough day in the saddle it seems. As I mentioned yesterday, the lead-in is almost 11 kilometers long and include 1 climb up the Petit KOM. After that, we'll do another 2 laps of the Petite Douleur course, which means in total we'll do the Petit KOM 3 times. Apart from that, the course is pretty flat, and I don't think we'll see too much action here apart from the 1 sprint segment. Rather, all of the action will be on the Petit KOM, which at 2.7 kilometers long with just over 100 meters of climbing at around 4% gradient is not a huge climb and is quite draftable, but I think the pace will be pretty high up it for all 3 ascents, so it will be the key point of the race for sure. If you lose the front group on the first time up the Petit KOM during the lead-in, you'll likely face E-gap loss counting in the minutes. So I will do my very best to hang on here, even if it means emptying all my bullets on the first climb, which is a solid 5 to 6 minute effort. Today I'll be riding the disc wheels, but the die-cut 62s and the Envis 7.8s are also good options. Okay, let's see how I get on today. Legs feel okay, but you just never know after a rest day. And I think today's going to be hard. Probably harder than people realize. So I'll need to be ready to do my best, especially on the first climb, so I don't lose the front group. And let's see whether I love or hate the Petit KOM after this one. As I expected, not too much happened on the flat section before the first climb up the Petit KOM. Even the Ballon sprint was pretty relaxed. I suppose since the start field was a little bit bigger here with around 50 riders, it was easier for me to draft in the sprint, but still, it felt pretty relaxed. I also got some nice comments at the start of the race about my vlogs. Much appreciated all. I did see all the messages, but I'm terrible at typing during races, so apologies for not responding. So as we started Petit KOM for the first time, my tactics were, as usual with FRR races, pretty straightforward. Just stay with the front until the end to minimize E-gap loss. That meant I had to be ready to go all out, especially on the first climb, as if I lose the front here, I will likely lose minutes on E-gap. I was also a bit worried that people would go absolutely nuts on this climb, as it was a climb segment as well. But to my surprise, the first part of the climb was relatively gentle compared to what I expected. I was still pushing over 300 watts, so it was not that slow, but I thought it would be much more aggressive. As you can see, I am drafting here as much as I can, as even on the steeper sections of the climb, there is still 10 to 20 watts of draft, which is definitely not to be sneezed at. The pace stays pretty steady for the middle part of the climb as well. Again, I am continuing to draft, and on the flatter sections you can even get 50 to 60 watts of draft, which is huge. As we get to around 1 kilometer to go, I'm expecting the pace to increase, and it does, but again not as much as I thought. I'm still feeling good here, and while my heart rate is now creeping up just over 170, that is not a problem for shorter periods. And with 500 meters to go, I now know I will make the front group over this climb. We pushed reasonably hard at the end, but again I had no problem staying towards the front here. In fact, my legs felt really good today. More rest days, please. In the end though, I think around 15 riders got dropped here, so the Petit KOM does strike again. On the second flat section, there were a few attacks going off the front, and the pace was reasonably high, but nobody ever got more than 7 or 8 seconds or so. I spent a tiny bit on the front, but not very much, and as such I'm reasonably rested as we start the second climb up the Petit KOM. I will speed up the footage here quite a bit, as not too much happened on this climb. The pace was still reasonably high, but not as fast as the first go up the climb. One guy was off the front for a while, but I didn't chase as I thought it would take a lot to stay away all the way to the end from here. I felt good the whole way up this climb, heart rate in control for most of it, and it only crept up towards 170 at the end of the climb. So I was feeling a lot better at this part of the race than I had expected. And I don't think many, if any, riders were actually dropped here from the front group. So again, that just shows the pace was not blistering up this climb. So, the final climb. The flat section had been quite relaxed, and nobody really went for the sprint either, so I was pretty certain the pace would pick up quite a bit on this last climb, as people's legs were still relatively fresh. I felt good, and my heart rate was quite low as we start to climb, but I can tell right away that the pace is now a bit higher than the previous climbs, and I'm preparing myself for a painful 5 minutes. As it is the last climb, I do want to stay towards the front of the pack, still getting draft, but able to see what's happening and be ready to follow moves if needed. A couple of riders push pretty hard and the peloton starts to string out, but I'm not panicking here and I feel I'm still in a good position. I'm sitting on the flatter sections and stand up on the steeper sections. That combo seems to work pretty well for me, and so far so good. With just under 2 kilometers to go, a couple of riders drift off the front slightly, and I decide to follow. I catch them quite quickly, and I even drift to the front. This is where I think I make a bit of a mistake. I felt really strong at this point, and for a second or two, I thought about going long. We are on a steeper section, and the peloton is really stretched out behind us, but I quickly shut it down, chicken that I am. In hindsight, I should have gone for it here. Even if it didn't work out, I wouldn't have lost that much time on E-gap, and who knows, perhaps I could have gotten away. We will never know. But going forward, I need to have enough confidence in myself to try these longer attacks at some point. At this point, my teammate Jesper goes to the front to drive the bus for a bit, and I'm still well positioned here, I think. I'm still pondering whether I should have gone long, but then I need to focus on the next steep section. Heart rate still under control, and we get to the final flat section where I'm even able to rest somewhat. Well, not rest really, but at least catch my breath. But this is where I make my second mistake. With 500 meters to go, Mr. Rank takes off. And I have to process what's happening for a second. And with around 300 meters, I decide to bridge and I start pushing. But then I quickly shut it down as I felt it was a little too far. But really, I should have just gone for it here. The rest catch up, and we turn on to the final steep section, and I realize the sprint is effectively on. And I then push to the line, passing everybody but my teammate Jesper, who beats me by 0.001 seconds. And I finished in third place. Now, a quick look at the results. As mentioned, I finished third in a start pen of around 50 riders. I will take that result all day long, but I am still a bit disappointed in myself that I didn't go long today. I had really good legs, and with around 2 kilometers to go, I should have gone for it. Even if it didn't work out, I wouldn't have lost that much time. I also messed up the last 500 meters a bit. Again, I was too late to get started and ran out of road in the end. But overall, really happy with that race. Mr. Rank took a well-deserved victory, and unlike me, he was brave enough to go with 600 or 700 meters to go. Chapeau. My teammate Jesper pipped me on the line. Jesper, no Christmas card for you this year. Alright, a few post-race thoughts, and then a quick look at the Queen stage. Alright, post-race thoughts. Good race for a number of reasons, and a bad race for a specific reason I'll mention in a second. But overall, felt really strong today. No problem staying with the front over the first 2 climbs. Didn't think they were too bad. And the sprints were okay as well. And we get to the final hill. Again, feel really good. And I started thinking about going long. And I pushed a bit. And then I backed off. Probably about 1.5 kilometers or something like that from the finish. That was mistake number 1. And then towards the end, one guy goes off the front, gets a couple seconds. I start closing him down. And again, like a chicken, I back off. Mistake number 2. Today, had really good legs. And I ran out of road in the end. I wish the hill would have kept going for a bit. So I should have really pushed either long, or I should have gone after and closed that guy down when he went. And who knows, maybe I would have gained a position or 2, or maybe not. But it felt like I had more to give at the end. But hopefully I can save some of that energy for tomorrow. And let's not complain, I did finish third among some tough riders. So really happy with that race. And looking forward to the Queen stage tomorrow now, weirdly. It's going to be an absolute brute of a stage. But I feel good. Hopefully I get some good sleep. And I'll see you there. Stage 7 was indeed hard. But just you wait. Stage 8, the Queen stage, will see us go around the Royal Pump Room course twice.
Fuck, you can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Yes, I'm very serious. And this is going to be one serious challenge, that's for sure. I have to say, I actually like this choice of course for a Queen stage. Normally we do something like the Quatsch Quest with a massive climb up the Alp at the end. This one is very different, much more interesting, at least to me, but is still very challenging, if in a different way. We actually did this course in November during Tour Britannia, and I remember that one being very tough. As you can see from the course outline, the biggest challenge on this course, in my opinion at least, is the constant undulation of the course. There are no flat sections really, either you're climbing or you're descending, nothing in between. So it will be a real test of your ability to work quite hard for a few minutes and then hopefully able to recover enough that you can go again soon thereafter. And you'll need to keep that effort up for some time, I think, as it will take the CRP GHT start pen around 1 hour 25 minutes, give or take a few minutes to complete this stage. So do make sure you keep fueling throughout the race. You're gonna need it. The first challenge will actually be the first sprint segment, I believe. By the time we hit the Yorkshire sprint reverse, we've already climbed for a little bit, and then the sprint itself is quite long at around 400 meters. And the end of the sprint is at a 5% gradient, so the legs will be burning at the end for sure. And I can see people easily dropped here, even this early in the race. Then we have a longer drag before generally descending down to what I think is the toughest part of the course, the Yorkshire KOM. While only 1.2 kilometers long, with a pretty steady gradient averaging around 5.5%, on paper it's not that bad, but I always find this climb really tough, and it is a good 2.5 minute effort. Again, people will be dropped here each time we go up this climb. After a bit more up and down, but mainly down, as well as the second sprint segment of the day, we then hit the Yorkshire reverse KOM. This one is also 1.2 kilometers long, but slightly less steep than the Yorkshire KOM at around 4% average gradient. I usually find this climb a bit easier for some reason, but it will still be another 2.5 minutes of hard effort, and your legs will likely not be fully recovered from the first KOM either, so it will be
very, very painful.
And then we get to what I think of as a 1-2 knockout punch of this course. You're already quite tired by now, and then you face another 2 climbs in quick succession. Not KOMs as such, but I think they're as hard as the official climbs. First, we go up the climb from Oakbeck, which is just over 1 kilometer at 4% average gradient, and very soon thereafter we hit the Potbank climb. This one is nasty, only 750 meters long, but at almost 8% gradient and much steeper in places, especially at the start. It is another 2.5 minutes of hard effort that comes at a time when you really don't want any more lactic in your legs. On the last lap, if you have anything left here on this climb, this would be an excellent time to break away, as it's mainly downhill from here until the finish. As for wheel choice, again, there are a few choices here, I think. Most of the course is quite draftable, so disc wheels, especially if you're a lighter rider, is a good option. The NV 7.8 or the Die-Cut 62 are also good choices, and perhaps even the Tron on this course. For me, I will most likely go disc wheels. In summary, I believe this will be a very attritional race. And I don't think we'll have a large group in the front at the finish. Rather, the race will break up into many smaller groups throughout the race, and there will be significant E-gap time difference here. That is for sure. Stage 7, done. And tomorrow, we face the Queen stage. So, the business end of this world tour is upon us, that is for sure. It's time to dig deep. This is Sam, trying to spin to win on Swift, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.